We're now in week 2 of the knit along, and I think a lot of you have gotten your yarns. I got a chance to see some of you at Rhinebeck last weekend as you were picking your colors, and that was really nice to get to meet some of you in person. So I assume that most of you, if you don't have your yarn, it's in the mail. So once you do get your yarns, I recommend knitting a gauge swatch. And I know that this is a step that most people do skip, but it's actually really helpful in this project for 3 reasons. The first reason is that brioche stitch has an unusual stitch gauge, and it's always good to make sure that you have the right needle size to get the drape and feel you want in a project. So you will notice that in the pattern, it's a smaller needle that's recommended usually for brioche stitch than if you were doing a different kind of shawl. And with me, I have my 2 samples, and I just want to show you how those worked out, because even though they are knit in the same weight yarn, I actually had to change needle sizes because the fiber is kind of different. So let's take a look. On the left, you can see the darker sample, and on the right is the lighter one. And in the darker sample, there are some areas where the holes in the increases show more than in the light shawl. That's because the yarn was drapier. And I actually knit the darker sample on the left with a size 4 needle, and the one that's showing the holes less was on a size 5. That shows the difference in the fibers and how they can stretch during blocking. So if I turn on the light box here and show you how light comes through, you can really see how the stitches are looser in one than they are in the other. Now that's not really bad, it's just a matter of taste. So although I wouldn't use this yarn again, I think it was because it was a cashmere blend that it has more drape. You know, you might like that look, and so in that case, that's something to consider. Gauge isn't super important for this project, but I don't want you to run out of yardage. That's really my concern. So when I talk about getting gauge, I don't need you to get perfect gauge. We just want to make sure that you won't run out of yarn. The second thing to think about as you do your swatch is the selvage. Now throughout the shawl, there's a slip stitch selvage to keep the edge looking neat. When you swatch, it gives you a chance to practice before launching into your project. And if you've ever worked a sweater where it says something like, continue raglan shaping while working neck decreases, you know, you're working 2 things at once and you kind of have to juggle. That's not what I want to have happen when you launch into your project with a stitch pattern. I want you to already have an understanding of the selvage. So even if you don't finish your swatch, take a look at the video, try it out, see how it feels, and make sure that it looks correct before moving on. Now third, it's important to swatch to see your color contrast. The difference between your light and dark colors is really important so that your stitches show up in the final project, and they're going to look different in the skein than they do when they're knit. So definitely make sure you like your combination in brioche stitch before you launch into your large project. Now, if you plan to use more than one light color, like I did on my large shawl here, it's really important to test your fade. So what I've done is, yes, I have the swatch instructions that are going out to you, but I've also put them up as a free coaster pattern. And this is the gauge swatch / coaster. So you can see here, it's got the selvage, but it's also got the color fade from dark to light. And that gives you a chance to practice and make sure that you're not getting stripes in here. So if your colors don't work out, the fade will actually be distracting from your stitch pattern, and I want to make sure that doesn't happen. So we're going to try out our fades. Now remember that video help is available on how to work the selvage, how to add a color fade to brioche stitch, and how to sew in ends, block, and measure your swatch. So remember to add your project to Ravelry and post a picture of your swatches. Once you're done, I expect that you're all probably not going to do them, but you know, I'll pretend that people love swatching like as much as I do. You can also post on Instagram using the hashtag Blooming Brioche Knit Along. And if you have any questions, you can follow the link in the description of this video to the forum thread on Ravelry. I'll see you back here on the 1st to start your projects. And I just want to let you know I'll actually be flying to California on the 1st for Stitches SoCal, where I'll be teaching, and I will be looking to see if any questions go up, but I won't be answering them until 8 p.m. Eastern time, because there's a time change and I have to get settled into my room and stuff. So I will check in then, and if you don't see me online, I'll be back with you the next day at 8 p.m. Eastern time again to check in. So I'll let you know how SoCal goes, and I'll see you next week. Bye.